Okay, we shall read some Mulavidya Nirasa. Om. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Om. Mulavidya Nirasa. ಇವತ್ತು ವೇದಾಂತ ಪರಿಭಾಷೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿವಸ ಎರಡು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಆಗ್ತಾನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆಯಿತು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದು ಸಮ್ Mulavidya Nirasa as well as, no, only at least Mulavidya Nirasa I shall do today, then probably tomorrow. Vedanta Paribhasha will be tomorrow. Okay. Ekiya Samadhanam. So far we told what common man thinks about avasthatra, about avasthas and their examination of the states. How common man reacts instantly when he listens to Vedanta, just in bare outlines of Vedanta. Vedanta presented its prakriya, that by examining the three states thoroughly well, you come to understand world doesn't exist. World itself is not a reality. And Atma alone is throughout, independent, absolute, and unrelated to anything else. In fact, it alone is all pervasive and non-dual. And this you come to know by examining the three states. The common man's response was, see, just by listening, that examining the three states will help you. We only just touched it. Vedanta did not explain to him how it is going to work. The student's response, the common man's response, student means an ordinary student, a beginner, let us say. Common man, I told before, common man's reaction, but instead of common man, let us say a beginning student, a very, very beginner, a beginner of Vedanta. He should have asked how the examination of three states helps one to come to understand that Atma alone is non-dual, without the world being there, without the world being existent. How can you arrive that? So then Vedanta should have explained to him. Instead of asking Vedanta to help him to examine the three states, he examined the three states in his own way, and he comes to the conclusion which he already knew, that the world is real and I am real and I am a samsari, I am subject to birth and death, and this is real. World is going to be real as I am seeing it now. So this is the very beginning student, a beginner's conclusion. He thinks that whatever his own thinking, his own conception of life and world, after examining the three states, he comes back to the same previous state, previous understanding of life. Okay. To this, there are two responses. First response is Vedanta Ekadeshi, a section of Vedantins. We generally called them post-Shankarites. Post-Shankarites. Shankaracharya's teaching is unique, but there are some scholars, some acharyas who appeared after Shankaracharya. They have presented Advaita, but slightly in a different way. So how they give response to this? Okay. First was a beginning student's response. Second is a section of Vedantins. Swamiji calls them Ekiya, Eka, Ekadeshi. Eka means in Sanskrit Ekadeshi. Ekadeshi means a section of Vedantins who do not represent all the Vedantins, but a portion of Vedantins, a part of Vedanta. Now how they react, you see. This is a familiar Vedanta. This is a prevalent Vedanta in the society. In the name of Vedanta, this section of Vedantins are very, very popular in the world. They have their own view. How he reacts. First, there were two. One is the Vedantic Prakriya of Shankaracharya. Second was a common man who is just to begin Vedanta. His reaction. Now this is the third reaction of a section of Vedantins who are very popular all over the world. Okay. Atmanah karana vidya sambandhosti sushuptau ekiya samadhanam. In Mulavidya Nirasa book, if any of you are using this book, this is the second edition. First edition is an old copy, nowhere is available. So this is the second edition. In these things, page number 4 and passage number 6. Okay, the part number, portion number 6. Ekiya samadhanam. Atmanah karana vidya sambandho asti sushuptau. Now what is the response of the section of Vedantin? Atra asmadiyaha kechit samadhanam ahu. Swamiji calls these people, a section of Vedantins who have a slightly different way of presenting Vedanta. The same Vedantic Prakriya, they have got little differently. So here the contrast is between that a differently or little deviated Vedanta, or it is a pure Shankara Vedanta. It is a contrast. Swamiji is trying to present contrast in his entire book with the Vedanta which is little deviated from Shankara and the pure Shankara. Pure Shankara Vedanta which Swamiji represents, and a little deviated Vedanta represented by the many of the post-Shankarite Vedantins except Sureshwaracharya. Many post-Shankarite Vedantins except Suresh. Now what Swamiji calls them Asmadiyaha Kechit. Some people who belong to our side, who are our own people, Asmadiyaha. Swamiji doesn't call them as non-Advaitins. They are Advaitins only. They are part of us. They belong to us. So it is this whole Mulavidya Nirasa is a debate between us, among us. It is a purely internal debate. It is an internal debate, internal to Advaitins alone. Within the Advaitins, there are two sections. There are many. Even within that, there are still further branches and sub-branches like that. So here, there is a one section of Vedanta, which is in fact a larger, it has got a larger following. The Asmadiyascha Kechit. Our own people give a reply like this. What do they say? Satyamaha bhav jagadidam nischesham sushuptau na praviliyate. What did that common man who just became Vedantin, who has become a seeker, a very beginning student of Vedanta, a beginner student of Vedanta. What did he say? In deep sleep, the world doesn't disappear. World doesn't cease to exist in deep sleep. It continues to exist like before. Referring to this view of him, this section of Vedantins means this Mulavidya Vadi. Vadi means advocate of root cause. Advocate of ignorance as a root cause. Okay. Mulavidya Vadi. He says Samadha Satya Mahabhavan. This section of Vedantin, post-Shankarites, they say like this, yes, you are correct. He is conquering the view of a common man who has just become a Veda, just to come to Vedanta. Very beginning. So Satyamaha Bhavan, you told rightly, I agree with you. What is that? Yat jagadidam nishesham. This world doesn't dissolve, means it doesn't cease to exist completely in deep sleep. It doesn't cease completely in deep sleep, partially, only partly it merges. The world doesn't disappear, world doesn't cease to exist completely. See his own stand. Earlier, now let us compare. Earlier, the first Shankara's prakriya. Shankara's own prakriya is Sushupti is a best experience. Sushupti is a best experience to understand how Atma alone is existing independent of the world, with the world being non-existent. That means world is also included in the Atma. It doesn't exist apart from Atma. There is only one non-dual Atma. To understand Atma's freedom, freedom from the world, freedom from individuality, freedom from Jiva Bhava, freedom from the world, karma, being subjected to pain, pleasure, birth and death and all that. World means all this. World means what? World means I am an individual being related to world. This is world. When we say world, we mean Dvaita Prapancha, not Prapancha, not general word Prapancha. When we use the word Prapancha, we mean, oh, these are all Kannadigas only. They write in Telugu, but Kannadigas only. So, we mean what was I saying? Prapancha. By Prapancha, we mean not the Panchabhutas, not the mountain, river and all that. By Prapancha, we mean Dvaita Prapancha. Okay? By Dvaita Prapancha, what do we mean? Dvaita Prapancha means not that there are many things in the world, that's okay. That is okay. But Dvaita Prapancha, we mean I stand as an individual being related to the world. I am a part of the world. World is surrounding me. I am an individual being connected to the world, inevitably related to the world. Now next question comes. Being individual means what? Being a karta, bhokta and a jnatru. Being a jnatru, kartru, bhoktru. Being a jnata, karta, bhokta. Okay? That I am a jnata who comes to know the worldly things through sense organs and mind. That means I always depend upon my body, mind and sense organs. Without them, I cannot know the world. And the mind and sense organ reveal a part of it, part by part, part by part. They don't reveal the complete world. That means my knowledge is always limited and full of mistakes and also wrong things also. That is Jivahood. Then I am a karta. Karta who need to work hard, who need to make use of the worldly things and do something. I need to do. I am a doer. I need to do. I am an agent of action. I am a karta. I need to do continuously some action. Because I have desires and I have something to achieve, something to gain, and that pushes me to work. Then the third aspect of my individuality is my bhoktrutva. That I am a bhokta, I am subject to pain and pleasure, and I love to be always happy, and I want to avoid my unhappiness. So this is, why do I need it? Because I am in such a condition. I am a jiva who always needs to become happy. Jiva doesn't mean automatically full happiness, no. Jivahood doesn't mean complete happiness and automatically all happy, no. Jiva means who is in need of happiness, who wants, who is seeking, who is struggling hard. Okay, that's what Jiva is. That means he is struggling hard, he has to do a lot of work. He has to develop relationship, learn and do work and do. In spite of these things, he is not sure he is going to be happy or not. He hopes to be happy, but most of the time his hope doesn't come true. He may get little pleasures, certain sentiments, certain emotions, but not all the time a complete happiness. So, being an individual means being a jiva. Being a jiva means this nature, this character of him, which I have described just now. Another is as an individual connected to the world. World means what? Anything other than me. The everything put together is world. What is world? Don't talk by one object. By world we mean anything other than me, all that surrounds me. It may be bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest, all things put together. All that is prapancha. So this prapancha is always connected to me. I am always connected to the world. Neither I see the world without me, nor I see myself without the world. So me and the world are two aspects of the same thing. Like a paper has got two aspects. A paper, take a paper, it has got two aspects, a front and back. So they are so inevitably connected that they cannot be separated. So intimately connected that they can't be separated. In fact, they are the two aspects of the same. So by Dvaitam we mean this. By Dvaita Prapancha, because every word has got a clear connotation and that implication has to be clearly understood, then only communication becomes easy. If I use the word in one sense and you receive it in another sense, there is always a communication gap. We need to discuss so much here because we want a perfect communication, a thorough communication. What I want to say, what Shastra wants to say, it should be able to explain very clearly, and the student should be able to grasp it perfectly well, thoroughly well. Therefore, we have to define, explain the implication of each word and what we mean and what we don't mean. Okay? What we mean and what we don't mean has to be very clearly construed, clearly understood. Therefore, Dvaita Prapancha means myself being an individual, and that individual being individual itself implies being surrounded by the world and being connected to the world. Connected to the world means world influences me. I use the world, I become dependent on the world, world influences me. It decides my options. It gives you some limited option, and those options, conditions keep changing from moment to moment. They don't give you absolute option. They give you a limited condition and a limited area of option. And moment to moment that area changes, but each area gives you a certain degree of option. That's all, not absolute. At no condition, at no time in your life, you have an absolute freedom. Okay? What people talk of absolute freedom is ridiculous. The world itself doesn't offer you absolute freedom. It depends on many factors. Moment to moment, the degree of freedom keeps changing. It is not uniformly same. So the world gives you certain field of opportunity, certain area of opportunity to learn, to do, to get experiences. To learn, that is jnatru, jnata. To do, that is karta. To gain some experiences and happiness is bhokta. So this is what we are. So being an individual, being related to the world, I am related to the world, and the world also offers me various options. Not all the options are pleasant. Not all the options are very convenient to me, very pleasant to me. Sometimes you have got a hard options. Sometimes you have got a very limited, very shrinking options. Sometimes the option, the two or three options you get, all of them are equally bad. Sometimes you get options, all the three are equally bad. Sometimes one of them is worse, another is bad, some of them are worse than that. You only have to choose the bad. So this is the situation we have. All this put together is called world, and my being an individual, being surrounded by this kind of a situation, this kind of a world is called Dvaita Prapancha. Okay, now this Dvaita Prapancha is existing, or let us say is experienced in waking state. This Dvaita Prapancha, my being an individual and that individual is related to the world, and the world influences me. I also make use of the world. I try to bring about some changes in the world. World means a few things, a few circumstances around me, I can bring about some change. Okay, the world also doesn't allow me all absolute freedom. It allows partly, it benefits me partly and extracts me also. It benefits me. It benefits me partly, and for that benefit it extracts a lot. It also wants me to work hard and pay a lot. I have to pay. I have to work hard. I have to work. Paying means what? You have to work hard, then only it will give you some result. Sometimes you work hard and the result will be less. Okay. So all this shows that, yeah, you cannot take the world for granted. It is uncertain. And then it depends upon the world's help. How much the world helps me, cooperates with me, depends upon my past karma also. Okay, you don't have an absolute freedom and the absolute world all the time with you. You don't have. And you have to choose. And while choosing also, you are under the pressure of your own desires, your own ambitions, frustrations, doubts, because the doubts are there in between. They come and give you trouble. So while making decision, you are afraid. You have got your own fears, ambitions, anxieties, all that you have. With all these things, you have to make a choice. This is called Dvaita Prapancha. Now you got it. Body is useful, but it poses certain limitations. Sometimes it poses an obstacle. It gives you facility, but some limitations. Sometimes obstacle, sometimes becomes an unnecessary burden to you. The same body becomes an unnecessary nuisance to you, becomes a very big obstacle. Then the sense organs and mind also, they cooperate with you. Sometimes they give trouble to you. So you have to adjust to them. You have to adjust with them, you have to cooperate with them, you have to tolerate sometimes some mischief they do. If you are angry, you will suffer more. So out of your own interest, even if he is a wicked, you have to tolerate. Because he is anyway fool, but I will lose myself. So let me compromise with the fool, let me adjust with him and achieve what I wanted. Okay, an intelligent man doesn't show his paurusham in every small thing. Sometimes the other fellow is a fool, stubborn, doesn't understand. Okay, doesn't matter. You yield to them and tell him, request him and bribe him and get your thing done. That's all. Then we have to do like that. So the world is complex and you are stuck with it. You can never get rid of. This is what our life is. Okay. So when we say Dvaita Prapancha, this Dvaita Prapancha ceases to exist in deep sleep. First Vedanta, Shankara Vedanti and Vyakhyana Vedanti. Hereafter we will call them Shankara Vedanti and Vyakhyana Vedanti. Now while this Vyakhyana Vedanti is talking, that Shankara Vedanti told Sushupti, examination of Sushupti helps you to understand how you are independent of the world, you are non-dual and naturally yourself. You are a natural self who is not subject to the world, who is not a part of the world, who is not influenceable by the world, who is not related to the world, who is unrelated to the unrelated means he doesn't stand in relationship with the world. How? Where does he throw away the world? World includes time and place, remember. If you include time and place, then there is it. Then how can you remain unrelated with the world? So your deep sleep state is a very good experience, which proves to you how you stand neither as an individual nor related to the world. Because if you are individual, you get related to the world. You and the world mutually interact. But when you cease to be individual, world also cease to be there. Because world is a world only to me as an individual. Okay? World is a world only to the individual. If I give up my individuality, there is no world. Individuality means jiva. World is a world only to the jiva. Jiva is Jnatru, Kartru, Bhoktru, the knower, agent of action and experiencer. That is Jiva. Okay. So this Jiva is related to the world, inevitably related, helplessly related. He is a part of the world. As an individual, as a Jiva, I am the part of the world. Without the world, I can't think of myself. And I exist, when I exist, I exist only as a part of the world, as an individual, as a jiva. As an individual, when I exist automatically as a part of the world. Part means world influences you, you influence. You need the world, and world is not always cooperative, partly opposite, sometimes helps, sometimes gives trouble. World has got its own way. Its own way of working, its own way of functioning. You have to adjust to the world. You can't just say that I do it as I like. As I like, it doesn't work, because the world doesn't permit you. Okay. So this kind of thing is called Dvaita Prapancha. This Dvaita Prapancha doesn't exist means in deep sleep. It means that neither I am an individual nor I am stuck with the world. Because as an individual alone, you are related to the world, you are part of the world. In deep sleep, I am neither an individual, therefore the relationship with the world is possible only through individuality. When I give up my individuality, I give up equally the world also. Individuality and world, when they come together, go together, both of them go together. Okay. Therefore, this is called Dvaita Prapancha. This Dvaita Prapancha, which we are stuck with throughout our waking and dream state, and also have been suffering from pain, pleasure, sukha, dukkha, labha, nashta, and so on, and that is the jivahood, and that is the world. So in deep sleep, I am free from this too. I am free from my sense of individuality. I exist without being an individual. Okay, I exist without being an individual. I exist neither as an individual nor surrounded by the world. As an individual surrounded by the world, because the world doesn't exist apart from me, and me is no more an individual. I am neither an individual nor there is a world apart from me. That is non-duality. Okay. So this Sushupti is the best experience, a direct self-evident experience for any person who wants to understand the nature of Atma, the true nature of Atma, who wants to understand the truth and become liberated. Okay, the world comes to you. The world comes to you as an individual alone. If you are not individual, there is no world. World has no existence. The existence of the world is seen only through your individuality. Therefore, Sushupti is the best experience for examining and discovering how you are not an individual and you are not stuck with the world. That means, world means what? Everything is a limited opportunity, limited interaction, and a lack of freedom also. Limited freedom because the world is continuously influencing you. World offers you certain things and it gives a little choice. So within those things alone you get it. Suppose you want something totally outside these things, you can't get it. It's something like, I give you an example. You go to a market and there are few shops. Whatever thing is available in the shops, you have got a choice. Suppose you want something which is not available in any of the shops. in the entire market. What you want is not available. What will you do? All this, ye dunya mahfil mere kaam ke nahi. All this world is of no use to me. You have to say that. Somebody said, somebody was singing like that. So all this world is of no use to me. So in deep sleep, you stand as an individual and related to the world. These two do not exist. That means you exist as a non-individual and unrelated with the world. Not only unrelated, you exist in such a way that your existence gives no room for the existence of the world. It swallows the world. It ends the world. Your non-duality in deep sleep, which is free from individuality, also makes you free from the world. Where is the world? World doesn't exist apart from myself. I am everything. So this deep sleep helps you to understand. But this Ekadeshi means a certain Vyakhyana Vedantin. What does the Vyakhyana Vedantin say? See, it is interesting. Vyakhyana Vedantin say, Satya Mahabhavan. He is not agreeing with Shankara Vedanti. Shankara Vedanti told Sushupti is an experience of you. Experience means myself. I exist in Sushupti in such a way that I am neither an individual nor there is a world. You cannot even think of the world, whether it exists or gone, or do you think, what happened to the world? There is nobody to question and there is no world. Where is the question? So if this is life, if this is yourself, your non-duality, then Shankara Vedanti told Sushupti, examination of Sushupti is highly useful, perfectly helpful to you to understand the truth. But Satyamaha Bhavanya Jagadidam Nishesham. So he says the world partly merges in deep sleep. It doesn't totally cease to exist. See, this is the strange thing. Shankara Vedanti told Sushupti is the best experience to help you to discover, help you to understand how there is no world at all and you are no individual at all. Your individuality and the world both are simultaneously removed because they are only two sides of the same coin. Okay. So, but this post-Shankarite Vedantin, Vyakhyana Vedantin, this Vyakhyana Vedantin says that he agrees with the common man who thinks that world exists all the time, both in waking dream and deep sleep and all the states. World is eternally, independently existing. This is the common man's view. And this section of Vedantins, Mulavidya Vadins, post-Shankarites, he is conquering, he is accepting. That is the biggest problem. He conquers with the common man and he says, yes, Bhavan Satyamaha, yes, you said rightly. You said one good thing. What is it? Jagadidam Nishesham Sushuptav na praviliyate. This Jagat doesn't cease to exist. Nishesham. The world doesn't completely get wiped out, partly it remains. See, it doesn't get wiped out. It doesn't cease to exist. It exists, but there is a little bit of it. Okay, this is what they say. These post-Shankarites accept a common man's misunderstanding of life and they start writing their prakriya. This is the biggest defect, isn't it? So, Nishesham Sushuptav na praviliyate. The world doesn't come to an end completely. Nishesham means without leaving out anything. It doesn't merge. Yataha, because Satatamasau Atma Samsara Dashayam Anidya Vidya Pratibadda Drishtihi Naiva Kartritva Bhoktritve Swasya Jatachit Jahati. This Atma during samsara Means during the experience of samsara, what happens? During the experience of samsara, satatam, throughout, satatam means continuously or throughout your life as a samsari. Throughout your life as a samsari means samsara is possible only when you are a jivahood, only when you are an individual. Not to you. You means the real you, there is no samsara. Samsara is to you when you take yourself to be an individual. To that mistaken condition alone, there is samsara. In that condition of mistakenness, that I am an individual is a mistaken condition. So, as I am an individual, instantly there is a world. Like when you bring the paper, you get two sides. The opposite side is always there. Okay, so Ekiya Samadhanam. This Vyakhyana Vedantin's reply is, you are correct. They say that the Purvapakshi is correct, the common man is correct. What is that he is correct in? That the world doesn't merge completely, world doesn't cease to exist completely, world partly suspended, world remains. This is what they think. Okay. Yataha, because satatam asau atma, this atma is continuously always samsara dashayam, in the state of samsara. Anadya vidya pratibadda drishtihi, this common man in Sushupti is always associated with Anadi avidya, a beginningless avidya. Causal avidya, beginningless avidya, bhavarupa avidya, all this means only Mulavidya. So if you use word one Mulavidya, all these things are covered. So hereafter I use Mulavidya only. Okay, so satatamiva atma samsara dashaya. Atma always in samsara, means as long as he is in samsara, means as long as he takes himself to be an individual, stuck with the body, mind and sense organs. I am an individual being connected to the world. Okay, if this is the thinking, samsara dashayam anadya vidya pratibadda drishtihi. His drishti, his vision is held by Anadya Vidya. Anadya Vidya means beginningless ignorance. Means the ignorance is a substance, it is beginningless. All this they are imagining, that is their defect. Okay, how it is defect and all way, it will come anyway, so why should I answer early? So I leave it to Swamiji. Swamiji will explain in the next 2-3, next few pages he will explain. Satatamasau atma samsara dashayam, means as long as he is in samsara, means as long as he takes himself to be an individual. Samsara means what? Being an individual is samsara. As long as you see yourself to be an individual who is a part of the world, nishesham sushuptau na praviliyate. It doesn't merge into deep sleep completely. He puts in inverted comma. Completely doesn't merge, a part of it remains awake. See, this is an explanation. People listening to this, they say, yes, he is correct, he is correct. Wait for my answer. When you get an answer, you will be shocked. What is this all? Okay, so, yataha satatam atma drishtihi न कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्व नैव कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्वे सस्य जहाति. Atma never gives up, never loses his status of karta bhokta, the agent of action and an experience of pain and pleasure. Okay, so this Atma never gives up. Yadyapi sarva paricheda shunyaiva drishyate sushuptau. Oh, he is objecting to the very sushupti. Although sushupti looks like an experience where everything merges and nothing remains, it looks like that, but sushuptau tathapi tadanimapi vidyaye eva asya mithya jnana Sambandha. Okay. Even in Sushupti, Atma is associated with Mithya Mulavidya. Vidyate evasya mithyabhut ajnana sambandha. There is a false ignorance. Mithyabhuta, there is a false ignorance, and that is a substance. It is not just an idea. It is a concrete vastu. Oh, see, this is what he thinks. Kartrutve bhoktrutve, because just because you go to sleep, your kartrutva, bhoktrutva, your individuality doesn't come to an end. Okay. Now, yadyapi sarva paricheda shunya iva drishyate sushupta. Bah, this is one more. Although it appears as if you are free from all limitations, you are free from individuality, that means you are no more a jiva. It looks, he says, although it looks like that, so tathapi tadanimapi vidyate evasya mithyabhuta jnana sambandha. This is the difficulty. In fact, this is the problem this book aims to address. First, Shankara Vedanti told in the first section itself, in the first passage, that Sushupti is an experience where you are free from the world and you are non-dual. But he says here is a Vyakhyana Vedanti. Vyakhyana Vedanti says, yes, Sushupti appears as if it is free from any limitations. It has no limit at all, neither time nor place limitation, nor any object, nor experiences. Nothing limits him. He is totally free from sense of individuality, totally free from jiva. Although he is totally free from jiva, yadyapi sarva paricheda shunya iva drishyate. Although he appears to be free from all limitations, yet tadanimapi vidyate eva asya mithyabhuta ajnana sambandha. Even in deep sleep, still he doesn't become free from his ignorance, which is a false ignorance. What is this false ignorance? Will come later. It is a post-Shankarites or it is a Vyakhyanakar's idea of their own conception of, their own theory of ajnana. They have a theory of ajnana. Okay? That is called Mulavidya or root ignorance. Root ignorance or Mulavidya is found in nobody's experience. They have speculated it, they have imagined it. If one person does it, we can ignore it. It has become very common to all. Okay, therefore, even in deep sleep, Atma is stuck with the world. That means neither your individuality goes away completely, nor the world goes away completely. Ha! What a surprise. Shankara Vedanti says Sushupti is nothing but Atma alone. You are all alone without anything other than you. Whereas in others, okay, in waking state you are okay. But now this Vyakhyana Vedantin says no. In deep sleep, many things merge, but still the duality remains because there is an ajnana. What is that ajnana? Is a positive substance, will come later. Tathapi tadanimapi vidyate eva asya mithyabhuta ajnanasya sambandha. Okay, tacha ajnanam. Then you may ask, avidya? What is that avidya? Where is it? This is the peculiar concept of avidya, which the Vyakhyanakar's post-Shankarites have hypotheticated. Hypothesis means they have created hypothesis. They have created a hypothesis, they have imagined this. It is a pure theory. Nowhere it exists in anybody's experience. Then why do you call mithya? They say we call it mithya for a specific reason. Although it exists in deep sleep, it goes away only by jnanam. Jnana badhyamiti krutva. it gets negated by jnanam. That's why we call it false. See, the falsity of avidya consists in being sublated by knowledge. That's why it is false. Okay, krutva yadyapi mithya uchyate tathapi. Okay, although we call it mithya for the reason that it will get negated by knowledge. With the dawn of knowledge, this ignorance which made me an individual and made me to face the world. What is ignorance? Ignorance is something which makes me an individual jiva, and as an individual jiva I am get stuck with the world. All this is goes away by jnanam. All this is negated by jnanam. That's why we called it mithya. So for calling it mithya, there is a specific reason. That means mithya is a specific meaning only. Tacha ajnanam jnanabadhyamiti krutva yadyapi mithya ityuchyate. Although we call it mithya, but it doesn't mean yavanmukti na sushupti matrena kasyachit kaivalya praptihi prasanjayitum shakyate. Although we call it mithya, it doesn't mean that it ceases to exist. In fact, it continues to exist throughout your life until you gain jnanam. As a jiva, even if you are in the other world or this world, ajnanam continuously exists. Okay, this is what he says. Then why do you call mithya? If it exists for so long, it is so practically useful, the world is useful, we are working with it, still why do you call avidya? Why do you call it a mithya? That's because yavan mukti anuvartishtvat, it continues as long as, it continues until you gain moksha, until you gain brahmajnanam, until you gain moksha, this continues. Yadyapi mithya ityuchyate tapi yavan mukti anuvartishtvatvat nasishvapti matrena kasyachit kaivalya praptihi. Therefore, just by going to sleep, nobody attains moksha. Moksha means nobody becomes free from sense of individuality and the worldly relationship. Nobody becomes free from samsara just by going to sleep. Na sushupti matrena kasyachit kaivalya praptihi prasanjayitum shakyate. Why? Because tasya ajnanasya mithya maya avidya prakriti bija dyaneka vyapadesha bhajaha karanavastha karyavastha iti cha dve rupe sthaha. Ayyo. He says, now he is explaining Mulavidya, the causal avidya, the root avidya. Tasya ajnanasya mithya avidya prakriti bija. It has got several names. What is that? Mithya is one name, Maya is one name, avidya is another name. All these things are different names. Maya, avidya, prakriti, bija. Bija means seed. Ityadi. Like this, there are many other names for Maya. Aneka vyapadesha bhajaha. All these things are continuously referred by these words, these names. Such Maya or mithya yavan mukti anuvartishnatvat. Therefore, just by going to sleep is over. Maya vidya prakriti bija dyaneka vyapadesha bhajaha karanavastavam karyavastasi derupe staha. And this prakriti, this Maya or prakriti and avidya. See, he is using, post Shankarites call avidya and Maya as one, but it is not true. Avidya is different, prakriti is Maya. Opkoltive. Prakriti is Maya. But you can't club up these two. Okay? Avidya and Maya are not synonyms. But they explain. So, moreover they say, just by going to sleep, nobody attains moksha. And this avidya has got two states. One is a karya vidya, another is karana vidya. See how they present. Avidya is like a substance which produces something, two objects, and they are related to each other in a particular way. Okay. This is what they interpret. So karanavastha, karyavastha cha iti dve rupe staha. One is a karanavastha, another is karyavastha. Thus, this Maya has got the two states, two forms. Okay, sushuptaucha, and in sushupti, karya state goes away, but karana state remains. This is what they say, not Shankara Vedantins. Okay, they are not Shankara Vedantins, they are Vyakhyana Vedantins. Vyakhyana Vedantins say, just by going to sleep, you don't become free from samsara. Their ajnana continues. Maya, Vidya, Prakriti, and it is called Karanavastha. Karanavastha means causal state, from which the Karya is born. Karya means Jagat, entire Jagat. Yat Satyam Sana Tatra Grishyate iti. But he may ask again, oh, but where is it? We have never seen it. Sa Nagrishyate. It is sixth. Yes. And it only recedes. And it only recedes into its causal state during sleep. Siddhanti told, it doesn't disappear completely, it recedes into its causal state, only effect state. The karya state alone is goes away and it remains within the karana state. So it is true that it is not cognized then. Then you may say, sa nagrishyate iti. If the avidya or maya or prakriti were present in deep sleep, it should come to our experience. You come to experience it, but nobody experiences. Nobody in deep sleep ever says that there is something. You cannot say that. Yat satyam sana tatra grishyate iti. Tathapi. See, who asked this? Shankara Vedanti asked that how can you say there is a causal avidya in deep sleep or Mulavidya? Because nobody experiences any. Experience means a thought. Experience means a thought, a perception, a cognition. In Sushupti, no perception, no cognition, no thought, no conception, nothing. You are all alone. And he says, no, there is a part of avidya, a causal form of avidya exists in deep sleep. But then Shankara Vedanti asked, but we have never experienced it. Yes, I understand. We don't experience it, yet it is there. We don't experience it. Nobody has ever, yes, I agree that nobody ever experiences any causal avidya as being present in deep sleep. Deep sleep is just nothing. There is no second thing. You alone are. Isn't it? Then how do you say that this avidya or maya exists in deep sleep? And he says, tathapi vyanjaka bhavade maya ayam agraho natu avidyamanatva hetoriti suptotitanam paramarshada vagamyate. Is a complicating now. Now that Vyakhyana Vedanti is defending his position and he says, you see, Vyanjaka abhavadeyameva ayam agraha. We don't perceive or experience the Mulavidya or Karanavidya in deep sleep. What is the reason? But we don't experience at all. This is what Shankara Vedanti told. Mulavidya Vadi says, we don't experience, I agree with you, but that is not due to the absence of Mulavidya in deep sleep. So the deep sleep also there is a substance, there is an avidya, Mulavidya. This is what they say, Vyakhyana Vedantins. But here he says, no. Vyanjaka. Now, Vyakhyana Vedanti defends his position when objected to. When nobody is experiencing nobody is perceiving or experiencing anything in deep sleep, how can you say that? The Vyakhyana Vedanti says, yes, I agree with you. That means nobody experiences, yet it is there. Oh, nobody experiences, yet it is there. What does it mean? it is not experienced. Okay. Tathapi Vyanjaka Bhava, not because it is absent there, not because it doesn't exist there. It exists, only thing is you don't know. Huh, this is a strange thing. Vyanjaka Abhavadeva Ayam Agraha. This non-perception of Mulavidya in deep sleep is due to Vyanjaka Abhava, because the mind is required to illuminate things. For want of mind, we don't see, because the mind is sleeping, mind is resting, mind is not active. When mind is resting, how can you see anything there? Similarly, in Sushupti, there is Mulavidya, yet you cannot see because Vyanjaka Bhavat, you don't have the mind in deep sleep, therefore you would not know that there is Mulavidya. There is a Karana Vidya in deep sleep. Very difficult to see. Vyanjaka bhavadeyam agraho natu avidyamanatva hetoriti suptottitanam paramarshat avagamya. How do you know? You may ask, Advaitin may ask, I mean Shankara Advaitin may ask, how do you know that? That there is a Mulavidya is there, only I am unable to know, but it is there. How do you know that? He says, Susuptottita paramarshat, from the reference to that avidya, through the waking state. After coming into waking state, you are referring to that there was avidya. From this we understand that in Sushupti there is avidya, Mulavidya, Karana Vidya. Evam hi tatra paramarshaha swape nakinchidavedishmamiti. That's why after coming into waking state, that Vyakhyana Vedantin is continuing. That's why after coming into waking state, when we recall our deep sleep, what do we say? Oh, I don't know, I didn't know anything. I did not know anything. This experience proves that there is a Maya or Avidya in deep sleep. Though it is there, I would not know. Or I would know its presence only after coming into waking state. So this is the stand of Yakyanakaras. Okay. Evam hi tatra paramarshaha swapena kinchid avedisham. He is giving an example, illustration. In deep sleep, I didn't know anything. Nachayam paramarshaha kevalam jnana bhava vishayakaha. Point is getting complicated. I think we will discuss in the later. Jnana bhava vishayakaha. Yeah, I have to tell in the later, because this paragraph is not complete, but we will tell in the next class. Because this is their main Mulavidya point, and which is very popular all over the world, and we have to, it looks that it is deviating from Shankara's stand, and we will explain these things. Mamapyaham, it is not an abhava, it is something positive. Why do you say positive? Why can't we say it is a simple absence of knowledge? No, it is not simple absence of knowledge, it is something positive there. World also exists as something positive. It must be there. This is their thought. Okay. We have to reply to this. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat.